After being in Poland for about a week, here are my immediate observations of how it's different than America. First, let's start with the good. Number 5. Walkability. This is always one of my favorite things when leaving the United States. It seems the rest of the world designs its cities for pedestrians. But in the United States and Canada, cities are designed for cars. I love that in Poland I can easily walk to restaurants, the grocery store, and the city center. In most parts of North America, you need a car to be able to participate in society. Number 4. Peacefully quiet. In the United States, it seems you are constantly surrounded by loud noises. There's always construction, car horns, or teenagers blasting loud music. In Poland, it is much more quiet and peaceful. It's easy to hear the birds chirping or the ambience of the city. Number 3. The architecture. Poland has some gorgeous buildings. It feels like you're walking through history as you traverse across the city. You can find a diverse style of buildings that are all within a few kilometers. While most of the buildings were built after the war, there is still a wide range of architectural styles. Number 2. Coffee. I was blown away with how serious Poles are about coffee. Usually when you think of European countries that love coffee, you think of France or Italy. But I would say Poland loves coffee just as much. There's a lot of attention to the presentation of coffee drinks in Poland that you just don't see in the United States. Number 1. Public art. There's a lot of public art in Poznan, the city that I'm living in. In most US cities, there are usually just a few public art installations. But Poznan seems to be full of them. It seems every few hundred meters there's another grand piece of art. They range in all types of media and stylings. Of course, every place has its good and its bad. Here's what I don't like about Poland. Number 5. Sunday closures. In Poland, most stores are closed on Sundays. There is a law that restricts Sunday trading. I can understand the meaning behind this, as it ensures that workers get a day off, and it makes it easier for families to spend the day together. There are some exceptions for pharmacies, gas stations, cinemas, and restaurants. I just wish that grocery stores could also be open on Sundays. Number 4. No jaywalking. In Poland, jaywalking is very taboo and a ticketable offense. If a cop sees you crossing the street outside of a crosswalk, you'll probably get a ticket. Additionally, people will wait until the signal says it's okay to cross, even if there's no traffic. This is mind-blowing from an American perspective. In the US, if there's no traffic, we'll just cross the street. Number 3. No screens. Most of the windows in Poland don't have bug screens. Since it's in the summer, and like most apartments I don't have air conditioning, I leave the windows open, and bugs and spiders always seem to find their way in. Number 2. Public landscaping. In the United States, every city has a public parks and recreation department that is in charge of keeping the landscape looking good. This doesn't seem to exist in Poland. There are a few walkways that are obstructed due to plant overgrowth. There are parks that are full of weeds, and areas that could have beautiful gardens look quite feral. Granted, I imagine these wild gardens are more eco-friendly, given that they don't need fertilizers or pesticides. But I imagine a landscape architect could beautify it with native plants. Number 1. Graffiti. Graffiti is by far my least favorite thing about Poland. It is way more prevalent than I thought it would be, and most travel vloggers don't mention this. There seems to be just as much vandalistic graffiti as there is good public art. This used to be a problem in the United States as well, but has decreased in the past few decades. To be fair, some graffiti could be considered art, but much of the graffiti I found in Poland is lazy signatures that the vandals spent little time on. It's a real shame, because it degrades the city's beauty. And finally, the quirky. These are some observations that I had that can't really be considered good or bad, just some interesting things that I've noticed. Number 5. Rollerblading seems to be popular here. One of my local friends says it's a recent trend, and he anticipates it will fade out like most trends. Number 4. Veganism is also popular. I think when most people think of Polish foods, they think of sausages. It's interesting to see that most restaurants and grocery stores offer vegan options. You can even get vegan pierogi. Number 3. Some sidewalks are divided into bicycle lanes and walking lanes. Where I lived in the United States, sidewalks were a free-for-all between bicyclists and walkers. This didn't cause too many problems, since most people in the US drive. I incorrectly assumed that sidewalks are the same in Poland. An old man on a bicycle corrected my assumption, by giving me a mean stare for walking in a bike lane. Number 2. I thought there would be more beets. There's a Polish restaurant near my hometown in the US, and nearly every dish comes with some sort of beet-based side. I've yet to see any beets in the time that I've been here. Number 1. Uncle Ben didn't get cancelled. He just moved to Poland. Good for you, Uncle Ben. And those are my first impressions of Poland. A big dziękuję to the patrons who fund this channel, including VIP patrons Marnie and Steven.